Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this really exciting unboxing and walkthrough of the deck for Wonder Walking and the Explorer's Journal by Amy T. Wan. Okay, so I do have a confession and a bit of a story to tell. So some time ago, I backed or purchased, I can't remember if I think I purchased it. I may have backed it on Kickstarter now, I can't remember. The original deck for Wonder Walking by Amy T. Wan, and I absolutely loved it. It was so beautiful. And I actually ended up eventually rehoming that deck, partly because I just didn't find myself working with it like I wanted to. I had envisioned using it for art prompts and to walk around and use it, I guess, in the manner in which it was intended. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't one that I was pulling out a lot to use in that way. And I have to admit that I just ended up rehoming it. And I will admit that when the Explorer's Journal came out, and we'll be talking about this because I have both here to share with you today, but when the Explorer's Journal came out, I kind of wondered if maybe what I should have really done before rehoming the deck is purchased and worked with the journal, because I feel like the journal is where a lot of the intention for the deck really comes alive. And we'll see that as we look at it together. This will be my first look. It's still in its wrapping. When Amy reached out to me to see if I wanted to share the journal with you guys, I had to admit to Amy that I had rehomed the deck and that I really wish that I had taken the time to work with it with the journal. And so it just felt like fate in a way that she reached out to me and offered to let me share this with you guys. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you right now and the reason why Amy reached out in the first place is because the deck for Wonder Walking, again, we're going to get into this. I'm going to start unwrapping while I talk, but the deck for Wonder Walking is coming up on Kickstarter right now for a reprint. So she's doing a new edition. I believe it's going to be the 3rd edition of the deck. Crinkly paper noises. And she's also going to be including an opportunity to purchase the 2nd edition of the journal. So there will be both a printed version of the journal available on Kickstarter, and then if you order the hardback version of the journal, you'll also have access to an ebook version. And Amy has actually generously offered to share with us a sample of the ebook version of the Explorer's Journal, and you will find a link to that in the description box down below so that you can download and get a peek for sort of what the ebook version of this is going to be like, because of course that will be included with anybody who backs this deck and journal, or the journal at that particular tier that includes this journal will also get access to the ebook version. So Amy included a lovely little note here, which I genuinely appreciate. I just love this little ship. And I still remember when I first unboxed the deck, there was a little sticker that was on the paper. It was on the papers today too, and I put it in my journal. And there's something about the quality of Amy's artwork that really stands out to me. Just this really beautiful, I don't know what the right word is, flowy watercolor. I genuinely love that. So I'm really excited to get a second chance at the deck as well. So I'm going to share it with you and just talk through, I guess, my experiences with the deck previously. Beautiful rose petal finish on the box. I think this may have been one of the very first Kickstarters I received that had this wraparound style box, and I loved it then and I love it now. So a deck for Wonder Walking, an invitation to the human experience. This is such a beautiful deck. I'm so excited I have it again. I'm kind of gutted I let it go in the first place, but it was probably needed more by whoever I ended up passing it along to at the time. Really beautiful box. Okay, so let's have a little chat about the deck, and then we're going to go through the journal, which is really going to be the focus of this video since I have done a previous full walkthrough of the deck before. Now, this is a landscape deck, which means that the artwork goes sideways as opposed to upright, which right there, let's put the journal aside for a second so I can bring us into the cards. The backs, by the way, these beautiful labyrinth backings. Oh, okay. One of the things I felt like this deck had going for it that was really a strong thing about this deck was how immersive the artwork feels. It feels like it draws you in, much like scrying. And I actually have decks in my collection now that the moment I'm seeing this, I'm already like, oh, I could pair it with the Luminous Void Tarot, and this would probably work really well with the Roots and Wings Oracle, and just decks that I didn't have when I first had this deck. So things have changed for me, I think, in my practice a bit in that way. But let's take a quick little flip through as I kind of chat about it. The only thing I would say that I ever really struggled with this deck is that the font is pretty small and the text is light. So on some artwork like here, it can be a little bit tricky to read what it says on the card. But overall, I really enjoy the artwork. I really enjoy how ethereal it feels. And I really feel like the intention behind this deck, this concept of wonder walking, was really ultimately what drew a lot of us into the deck in the first place. The idea that you could pull a card and consider prompts and then think about that thing, whether it's story, such as in this card, or synthesis, as in this card, or excuse me, this is synthesia. Oh my gosh, why did I pick one that's so hard to say? Synesthesia. Wow, that was hard for me. Whatever it is, and review the prompts in the little white book. So for example, synesthesia, let's use this as an example. So the little white book is like a little pamphlet. So it folds out, and you just find the word. So here it is synesthesia. Oh, right. And there was realms, right. So you have a physical realm, wonder and creation, a creative realm, magic making, a inner realm, truth finding, and an influence realm, secret garden. And so we're looking for synesthesia to see where it falls. That was something else I do remember finding a little tricky sometimes, is it's not necessarily alphabetical here. So even within its individual list, flora is before height, which is fine, but then we go story, disruption, synesthesia. So here it is. Synesthesia is the practice of merging your senses. Can you relate to senses today? So the idea was that these were prompts that you could then use to explore the world around you. These didn't have to be necessarily walks in nature, but they could be. But the idea was to get you moving and get you outside and like start to notice more in your environment, to be more present. And I think to really allow the magic of the world around you to come into you, to come into your awareness. Here we have symbolism. So I hope you can see, just as we tour through the artwork, Thumbelina, I loved this card. The idea of shifting your perspective maybe and noticing the tiny things. Fauna. But it just feels like the kind of deck that invites exploration, which I think is really the point. And I remember thinking at the time, because the deck came in and there was an opportunity later to purchase the book. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not really using the deck as much as I thought, so I don't think I'll get the book. But I think if I'd have gotten the book, I might have had a slightly different take on the deck, because I think the book is going to guide us a little bit more than the deck on its own guides us. And I think that's what really excites me about this, as a possibility to try again with this deck and to see how I might connect with it now, having the book to guide. So I really do want to spend the bulk of this. Oh, look at this wonder card with this turtle. I love it. Also, I'm terrible at knowing the difference between turtle and tortoise, so I'll probably mix those up, just so you know. I don't know what the difference is. If anybody knows off the top of their head what the difference is. I mean, I don't know if I'll remember, but still. So many beautiful cards. So I'm not going to go through all of them. Look at this belonging card, though. So pretty. So really a lovely deck. Let's get us zoomed back out again. Really, really, really a lovely deck. But again, what excites me is the idea of being able to use this in the way that the deck was originally intended. And again, I'm really hoping that we're going to get more of that sort of energy in the book. An Explorer's Journal of Wonder Walking. And look at these metallic details on here. Now, as I understand it, there are no planned changes to the new editions. So I could be wrong on that, but as of right now, no planned changes to the new editions. I will, in case I haven't mentioned it by this point already, I will have a link to the Kickstarter currently funding at the time that this video is available for you to watch. It is on Kickstarter right now. Now, later on, obviously Kickstarters only run for usually about a month or so, usually of about 30 days, most Kickstarters campaign from the launch date to back the campaign. However, definitely keep an eye on this, because I will try to remember to also have a link to Amy T1's website down below, because once the Kickstarter is completed, assuming that the deck is funded and it does go to print, there should be an opportunity to pick these up from Amy directly after the Kickstarter campaign is completed. So I will try to remember to have all of those links down below for you, including the Kickstarter link, the link to Amy's website, and her curio shop, so that you can check it out for yourself in whatever way makes sense to you. So let's get into this. It's so beautiful and textured. What can I do to engage, attach, and anchor myself to the land? That's what it says up here in these beautiful end papers. A guidebook for reconnecting to nature and your creativity. So the funny thing is, I didn't actually realize that the intent for the Wonder Walking deck in the first place was to connect it with creativity. But I remember when I first got the deck thinking it would make a wonderful art prompt deck for exploring with watercolor, or even picking a page I want to color in an adult coloring book. Like if I pull the fauna card, looking for an animal picture I might want to color, or thinking of an animal I might want to try to paint. That really excites me. But in any case, it looks like the creativity aspect was definitely part of this. In fact, I'm seeing it here. So let's take a look at the table of contents. So we have part 1, A Magical World, where we're diving into the Wonder Walk, what to bring on a Wonder Walk, and the 4 realms of enchantment, which will align, of course, with the 4 realms represented in the deck as well. And then we have Walking into Wonder. So a chapter on wonder and curiosity, magic making, truth finding, and the secret garden. And Wonder Rhythms and Rituals. So Wonder Walk Adventure Spreads. I'm really excited about that. Walking Through the Seasons. That also is really exciting. And Enchanted Exploring Your Way. So there is a prologue with some information. Look at the color in this journal. Oh my gosh. The Wonder Walk. So a little bit more about the Wonder Walk, but here in brief, it says the Wonder Walk is any intentional exploring that reconnects us with our tangible world, reinvigorates our senses and creativity, and makes us come alive. Oh, I love that. So how to begin wonder walking. So there's options here. So you can, how to use the journal. So it talks about the labyrinth sequence. So in order to use the journal in, or dipping, where you just kind of flip through until you find a page that catches your eye, how to use the pages, what to bring on your wonder walk. So much good stuff. So here we're beginning with some pages you can begin to fill out. So what's in your adventure kit? We're talking here about the 4 realms of enchantment. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Okay, so let's get into some of the pages we could potentially... Oh, look at this. Symbolic correspondence. Oh, so here we see the images laid out, and we see the structure of the deck. Okay, this is really cool. I love that. Okay, here we go. So then there's notes from this first part of the book, what you've learned from the first part of the book. And we get actual wonder walking here. Embarking on a visual meditation. Okay, so it looks like, so there's some activities you get to try. So this talks about a pareidolia walk. On your next walk, wonder walk, look out for pareidolia in your surroundings. So this is based on the card pareidolia, which is in the deck. So I could totally see, actually, now that I'm looking at this, randomly drawing a card and then working with this section that corresponds with that card in the guidebook. So actually, before we go any further, let's just try that and see, and like look in depth at one of the pages after shuffling and drawing and see how easy it is to do that. And we're just going to explore this together because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing around. So let's see. Let's give this a shuffle. All right. So let's pull a card. So we have Hidden. That is the card that I've drawn. So let's find Hidden in the book. And let's actually see if there is an index to find your card easier. If not, that might be something... Yeah, I don't see an index. That's too bad. I really want to be able to like just flip right to the card that I want. So let's go to, let's see. So this separates the sections. We know it's not alphabetical because we started with pareidolia. So I could flip until I find it, or I could go to the page that has all the cards laid out and look for this card, Hidden. And I see it here. It is in the Influence Realm, Secret Garden. So we go to the section in the book on the Influence Realm, or the Secret Garden, which is Chapter 7, starting on page 187. So let's go there, because it looks like there is a section in this book for every card in the book. So here's the Secret Garden section. I'm going to set this off to the side so that we can bring this more into the center. Okay, so here we have the sun, poetry, journey, study, pretend, connect, follow the rabbit, immersion, discernment, dawn, hidden. Ah, here we go. So here's the card that I drew. So we have a much bigger version of the artwork here, which is really lovely. And then like a primary prompt. So it says, what do we know about the invisible world right under our noses? So there's a place for explorer's notes. So I'm assuming that's if you're, as you make your own wonder walks or you work with these prompts, you now have an opportunity to sort of leave some notes in this book for you to refer back to later. So it says, there is a rich world in the hidden. What is unseen hides kingdoms. What are you drawn to uncovering? I wonder about the tangle of tree roots beneath the ground. I'm simultaneously terrified of the horrific creatures of the ocean abyss and the visceral clarity of my harbored dreams. What is hidden is at once terrible, wondrous, mysterious, and intoxicatingly fascinating. Our imaginations are heightened by the unseen. Our minds conjure stories from the merest of ghostly hints. What do we know about the invisible worlds right under our noses? What secrets can we discover for ourselves in an overexposed world? This card invites us to seek our own answers, to see and judge with our own eyes what rightly shines in light and what's best kept hidden in dark. So there's an interpretation here. Invisible, unseen, buried secrets, concealed, private, obscure, mysterious, more than meets the eye, not yet known to be discovered. And then realm symbolism. So it talks about secret garden, the influence realm. Corresponding symbolism is air, intellect, thinking. Ask what hidden wonders would enhance your walks. And then it talks about what you should observe during your wonder walk. So as you walk, look out for interesting happenings hiding in plain sight. What wonders are concealed behind that ominously closed gateway? What lives beneath the murky waters of the ocean? What are trees whispering to each other in the complex network of fungi and roots under your feet? Are there hidden gems in your town or city you've never visited? How can you seek them out? As you saunter, ponder the secrets your own heart hides from you, leaving clues in the form of curiosity and fear. Look all around you for physical signs that there is more than meets the eye. A blink and miss sign to an underground cave, an unmarked road to the beach, a pop-up breakfast spot. Is it more exciting for being obscured? Good question. And then there's a bunch of activities to try. So we have hidden gems. Make a list of the hidden gems in the area you live right now. So it talks about that. A hidden sanctuary. Remember the tree houses, secret clubs, and hideaways we created as children, where we kept our most treasured books, games, and toys. There's something wonderful about having a private sanctuary to escape to as needed. Where can you build or set this magical space up? Consider beautiful grown-up canopies and tents in a corner of your house, a folding screen, a backyard shed, a private balcony, a fairy house made from nature's gifts in your favorite tree. Assign this place and have fun making it your own. I love that. And then some journaling prompts. So describing your favorite hidden gem in the place you live right now. What hidden worlds both fascinate and scare you at the same time? Why? And what hidden places and interests would you most like to explore right now, and why? And then it also points to some related cards. So you could also pair with darkness, portals, roots, and fog. And there's another space to make notes. And then we're on to the next card. So I think that gives you some idea of how the Explorer's Journal is structured. The only real criticism I think I really have for this is the navigation piece. I wish there was an index or a table of contents that let us navigate directly to the card we've pulled. I do feel like that's also the issue with the small little white book that comes with the deck, because there isn't an easy way to go right to the card you've drawn until you really know the structure by heart. So here we have the physical, creative, influence, and inner realms depicted on this labyrinth image in the little guidebook, but again, even within each section, the words that you see on the cards are not alphabetically ordered. So you still have to hunt for each word in each section. So I wish there was a little bit more thought given to the navigation piece of the guidebook in both the deck box and in the journal itself. But then again, a lot about this deck is about slowing down. So I guess a case could be made for taking your time and perusing to find what it is you're looking for. Maybe that's entirely the point, and it's intentional. But regardless, I do enjoy having an easy way to navigate to the information that I'm looking for. Maybe it's a shortcut, but it is one that I like. So that is the only thing I can think of that I would offer as a constructive criticism for this deck and book, is that I do wish there was that navigation piece in both of these resources. With that being said, though, I feel like there's a lot in this journal that applies to our current time right now, this day and age, when a lot of us have been stuck indoors or have at least been stuck isolating from others for such a long time. And I feel like this deck really invites us to see more of the things around us that we maybe ignore, that we don't pay enough attention to in our day-to-day. And if you really like and enjoy guided activities and journals, this is such a cool thing to do. This concept of wonder walking is really exciting to me. This idea that you could pick one central theme and then really go to that theme as you walk. This is something little that I do with my dogs when I walk them day to day, right? Like even just around the block, I try to notice the little things. And to me, that brings magic a little closer to home. Even in a busy city, as you walk around, you can notice the chirping of nearby birds or the way that the wind sounds, even in the tiniest little planter box. There's little things that you can pay attention to, and I think we sometimes miss those details in the rush of the day-to-day. And I think this definitely is a deck and a book that invites us to slow down a little and to be more observant, mindful, and present, and I love that about this. So I think if that is a kind of practice that really resonates with you, you will probably really enjoy a deck for wonder walking and the Explorer's Journal. I personally, based on my experience working with just the deck and now getting my eyes on the larger hardbound journal that you can get with the deck, I think that if I had to do it all over again, I would only get these together. That's my personal take. That being said, the little book does give you a little prompt for your wonder walking. You do get a little sort of taste of the concept of wonder walking and what it could involve. So I do think there's a lot here that's guided as well, but it just feels like this book holds my hand so much better. The one thing I did want to look at that I noticed in the contents before we wrap this up is I did notice a reference to spreads, and I want to know if those are card spreads. Yeah, it says Wonder Walk Adventure Spreads on page 241. So I want to check that out because that could be really interesting. So let's take a peek at that. Yeah, so we're in the final section here. Aha, so it talks about a single card pull, a pair to dance, so this is a 2-card spread, a labyrinth spread, which is a 4-card spread, and the adventure reflection, which is a open card spread. So it looks like you can have any number of cards for that particular spread. So let's take a quick glance here. I'm just curious because there are some spreads in here as well. So this offers these look like they might be different. So, or maybe that's not spreads at all. I might be making that up. I don't think those were spreads. Let's look in the back. Oh, there might not be any spreads in here. I might have been making that up. Yeah, how to use the deck for seasonal explorers. Ah, yes. Okay. So this is a for seasonal explorers type of spread, and this is so it looks like you get a single card pull prompt here and then a seasonal reading style pull here, which is super interesting. So that's what you get in the pamphlet, but you get these other spreads in the book. And there's also a piece in the back here about walking through the seasons, which looks super interesting. Creating your own explorer charts, charting explorer rhythms and intentions, and then exploring in your own way. So this is a lot more of other ways to work with the deck itself, to work with the journal. Super interesting. And so this is the original, this was the previous edition of this book. So there's a thank you to the previous Kickstarter backers as well as other acknowledgments there. So really, really beautiful. Again, I think if I had this to do all over again, if I was looking at this deck for the first time, I really do think I would get them as a set because I just think it opens up so many more possibilities, which I think is kind of the point. I do feel like Amy's original intention was to see these being used in conjunction. I do think that if you're really drawn to this artwork and you really like the way that it's laid out and the types of keywords that are involved here, and again, you can see all of the cards in my original first walkthrough, then you might really just be fine with just the deck by itself. And you might work with it in a more Oracle deck style, which is what I really originally did with it, rather than feeling like you needed to take it out with you on walks or anything like that, or to use it for walking prompts. Overall, I really feel like there's a lot of different things you could do with it. I did kind of miss having it. There was really nothing else in my collection that I had that I felt like I could use the same way for sort of art prompts as this one. And this one is going to stay in my collection this time so that I have it to reach for. There is, again, something so ethereal and magical about both the cards and the concept of wonder walking that just really captures my imagination. And I'm excited to sort of see where the new journey might take me. So I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about this deck. Is this one that you picked up when it was first out? Is this one that you plan to back this time? If you did have this deck before, I'd love to hear, did you have the journal or did you just work with just the deck? Do you wish you had the journal? If you did have the journal, what did you think about working with it? I have a lot of questions. You don't have to answer all of them, but I'm really, really curious what your thoughts are on it. I'm going to just spread these cards out. But really, I think the star of the show, particularly in today's video, is the journal itself. I'm really excited to see this coming back out and for other people to have an opportunity to bring this home with them. Don't forget that I will try to remember to have a link down below to a sample from the ebook version of the guidebook, or of the journal, so you can check that out in your own time. Thank you again to Amy for sending this to me to check out, to share with you guys, and to really see if this is going to resonate for me again. I really appreciated Amy's generosity. And just in general, I love taking a peek at these beautiful different sorts of ways that we can use cards in our day-to-day life. So thank you again so much for joining me. Please do remember to click the like button if you enjoyed this walkthrough or this little trip through the Explorer's Journal, or you found value in it. Thank you again so much for joining me, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.